Welcome to the Trill NBA Show. I'm your host, Felicia Ann Rose Enuha, aka the Trillest NBA you will ever know. And I'm here to help you survive and thrive in corporate America by giving you the truth and being as real as only I can be. Happy Sunday, everybody. I'm going to try not to cry reading that because I'm just trying to survive right now. So today, I don't have a proper episode. I have to travel for work. Work is getting extremely busy. And although it's good, I'm tired. I'm so tired. It's a lot to work a full-time job and have a quote-unquote side hustle. A side hustle that's not making any money yet. Yeah, so today's episode is really just an update. I just want to take a few minutes and tell you guys what I'm learning, what's going on with me, and just be super trill about life right now. So first, I'll start with some of the things I've learned at work tactically that I want to share with you guys that I think is super important. So the one thing I've really learned is not to take people personally, not to read too much into people's shenanigans, because you honestly could be taking something personal and that totally isn't the person's intention. Nor do they understand how they communicate. They're not aware. It's funny. And if my boss ever listens to this, well, you already know who I am. So I really believe that my current manager is a reincarnated Black woman that now has white women's features and outside appearance. And I think deep down in her spirit, she knows it and she uses it to her advantage. She is self-aware of herself, but I think people understand and they know she has good intentions when she comes in fiery and spicy and passionate about an issue, and that everybody takes it as such, right? But one thing I've learned from her is diplomacy and giving people the benefit of the doubt. And she is super good at doing that. I even brought to her some hallway conversation about somebody. And I was like, so what's the deal? Like, that wasn't cool. And then she explained to me like, hey, maybe that wasn't that person's intention. Maybe that's not how they meant to come across. And I was like, that's a fair ass point. And I appreciate that. And so I too am now going to work to try to be more diplomatic in all of my interactions. Because at the end of the day, I think nobody comes to work and is like, oh, I'm trying to sabotage all these bitches. Like, nobody does that, right? We're all just trying to make it. Like, survive, right? And thrive if we can. I think for me, it's disappointing I couldn't bring you guys a properly produced, thought out episode. I'm running behind. There are guests that I've sent emails to and they've emailed me back, and there are proposals sitting in my inbox. There are things needing to be done, and I just keep running out of time, because when you get paid to do a job, you have to put that first. And yeah, so I'm a little disappointed in myself today, but the other thing I have learned even before I started working was I have to give myself grace. I'm very hard on myself. I think a lot of us are. You know, you spend a lot of mental energy beating yourself up about things that you can't change at this moment in time. Like, you can't do anything about it. So stop focusing on that and focus on what you can do. And so what I could do is at least come here this week and try to give you something tactical and actionable that you can take into your week ahead, right? And that's the whole point of this show. So going back to diplomacy, one thing I noticed is that my coaching clients, they get frustrated about things, right? And so in my coaching practice, you have access to me. They've paid a lot of money. And so you can text me if something arises, which I want that to happen because I want to help you diffuse situations and I want to help you set yourself up for your best possible outcome. And so what that means is that when you text me and you start telling me this bullshit, blah, 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 I'm going to say, okay, breathe, take a step back. Now, what are the facts of the matter, right? Let's get to that first. And is this something you really should be putting emotional energy behind? It's always my question. So, for example, I have a coaching client who had a meeting and somebody derailed the meeting and pointing fingers and blaming other people. And this is her meeting. So I said, let's take a step back. I said, do you have an agenda? And she was like, well, we talked through the spreadsheet. I was like, that's not an agenda. So when you're running a meeting, to help ensure it doesn't get derailed, have a set agenda. Have an intentional objective for the meeting. Have set bullet points that you're going to talk through. And when somebody tries to go rogue and off script, you say, hey, we can take that offline. Understand, I hear you. Fair point. Let's take that offline so we can have the proper time to address it. Let's respect each other's time and stick to this agenda. And then if we have time at the end, we can follow up or we can set up a separate time and me and you can talk about it. It's that simple. And you stay on track, right? So it's about building focus into your day-to-day and into your meetings. And so that way, nobody can come in and distract you from getting stuff done. The other tip around focus and minimizing distraction is when you're in the office and people are doing drive-bys, right? And for those who don't know what a drive-by is, it's when one of your coworkers comes up to your desk when you're working on something and they mosey on up and they cop a squat and make themselves comfortable and they will start chit-chatting.
Crystal? Tommy? Good morning, Jake. How are ya?
Pretty good, Kenny.
Yeah. So early in the morning, I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but you know how I was supposed to work late tonight? Mm-hmm. Well, I got to run this errand for Mr. Mahina, and he says that you're going to have to cover for me. So there it is. I'm sorry. Drop the axe. Okay, so.
Mm-hmm. Again.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Just remembered. Mr. Mahina also, almost slipped my mind, wants us to change parking spaces.
What?
Yeah. Me, personally, I enjoy the 9-minute walk, but he said that we have to do it. Believe it, I hate it as much as you do.
What are you gonna do?
There's nothing you can do.
Mr. Mahina said it.
Mahina. This whole situation has been Mahinanized.
It just seems a little confusing to me as to why Mr. Mahina would give a fuck where we park.
How's that?
I mean, why would he care where we park?
I don't know the answer to that question. I mean, it's just what he said. Hey, the Mahina works in mysterious ways.
You know what? I'm gonna ask him myself, because...
No, that's okay! I'll do it!
And sometimes they'll say, hey, do you have a moment to chat? That's placating. They are still, gonna sit down as they're asking you, do you have a moment to chat? And it's very hard to tell somebody, no, but you need to. You need to say, hey, I have this deliverable. Got a deadline. I promise you, I'll schedule some time with you. We'll come back to this. I know this is important too. I got you, right? And just be super positive and like, I'm excited to talk about that with you. I just can't do it right now. So let's come back, right? And everybody should understand, and nobody should take that personally. And if somebody does that to you, respect their time, respect your time. Like, don't take offense. Like, what you're doing and whatever urgency you have is not that other person's urgency, right? They have other urgent things. And so, although we all have to work together in these organizations to get stuff done, respect other people's time, right? And it's one of the best ways to win friends and influence people is to show just common courtesy and common respect. The other thing I'm noticing, going back to how to win friends and influence people, is that I'm leaning on the tenet of let people save face. There have been a number of times where I could have just been not the nicest person. But I remember, hey, let this person save face. And one thing I'm noticing too is that other people are letting people save face. So here's an example of that. And this is actually an example of somebody not letting me save face and then me letting them save face. I had sent out an email to a team. We were working on one project. So that's the situation. And I was asking for feedback on some slides. And so normally I would have thought that, hey, I'm going to send this to y'all and you will individually send me back feedback, right? Because feedback always feels like a criticism. And feedback sometimes doesn't allow you to save face. So one particular person who I love dearly, and I know they meant no harm, right? But this person sent feedback and replied all. And I was like, and then I felt the need to defend myself. So I emailed back and was like, hey, that was that way because of XYZ. And so her feedback was fair, but, I shouldn't have felt the need to defend myself either. Right. And it was a very minute, small thing, y'all. It was not a big, it was not any kind of deal. Like, not even. But in that moment, I was like, hey, I'm going to have to share some coaching because that's what I do. So I emailed the person one-on-one. So I'm letting them save face. And I was like, hey, did you mean to send that reply all? And they were like, yeah, I thought we were going to all share all of our feedback together. I was like, no, that's not how that works. If you happen to have duplicate feedback, it never hurts. There's no need to be wondering like, well, I don't want anybody to take the time to say the same thing. It's like, no, if you guys are all saying the same thing, that's great. That means there was a theme and that definitely needs to be corrected. So don't send back feedback, reply all, unless it's something positive, right? Again, let people save face and remain positive in your interactions. So those tactics, I'm telling you, will take you very, very far. The last tactic I want to talk about is just really more mindset in action. So confidence. You just gotta have confidence. Even if you're strong and wrong, be strong. It'll take you far. I'm noticing these senior leaders, they make a lot of money and they're no smarter than you and me. They're just not. What they're good at is what they're good at. And they've been able to self-promote, rise, make the right relationships, be white males, and climb the ranks. So I don't want you to feel like you can't do it because you don't see yourself reflected. They're no better than you. Times are changing. And I want you to at least try. If you have the goal to climb the corporate ladder, to rise to the top of your company or be in a senior leadership position where you can affect real change in the corporate culture, then get after it. Go for it. I was trying to encourage, a lot of people I know to stick with it and keep going. And I know for us women, it's hard because you have this perception that, oh, I'm not going to be able to make the time for my family if I have this high-powered job. So the last thing I'll share with you is something I learned from a senior leader at my current job. And when I was meeting with them and they were talking about, a lot of people, they say they don't want to go any further. But what they don't realize is that when you get up here, there's more resources. It's easier to set boundaries on your time. It's a little bit easier for you to finagle things and delegate and manage your time in a way that still allows you to have space for yourself and your family. And I was like, It's all about your perspective. So, all in all, I'm doing well in this new role. I'm excited about the work I'm doing as much as I can get excited about selling some shit, right? Let's be real. I'm here for the money, and it's a social experiment in a lot of ways. How far are you going to let a plus-sized, loud, boisterous Black woman rise in corporate America? Because I can do the work to the best of my abilities, but I can only go as far as I'm allowed to go. And that's for everybody, right? That's for anybody. And you can maneuver. You have power, right? If they put a ceiling over your head, you can go to another company and keep trying and keep striving, right? But, if you want to stay with one company, they have got to put you in the pipeline. So that's what I'm working on now, delivering great output, meeting expectations in my work, seeing where I can go above and beyond in the organization and what I'm passionate about, trying to add value within the bounds of what excites me and the work that I want to do. And I'm fortunate because I'm so much at a company that is choose your own adventure. So if you're in an organization where, you manage your career here and you have all say, and it's truly that way, have fun. Like, build relationships, and let the organization know, like, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm going to do. And as long as you make the business case, most times they're going to say, oh yeah, we need that. Okay, go do that. And as long as you're delivering for your manager, choose your own adventure. Like, make it fun. Don't get so caught up in the BS of things, and don't get caught up in crazy humans acting a fool and being silly and taking themselves too seriously or taking their work too seriously. Like, life is short. Life is so short. And I know sometimes it feels so long. But one day you wake up and you get a phone call and it changes your whole goddamn life. And, your whole life changes when you lose people that are close to you. So don't take anything or anyone for granted. Live in this moment. Tomorrow's not promised. And, just really own your happiness. Like, if you're miserable at your job, make the plan and exit. Like, don't sit there miserable. That's silly. And it's on you to manage your misery or your happiness. Like, you have to own it. You have to take the power. You can't keep sitting there and looking at, oh, these white folks, this and that. And oh, I'm like, yeah, white folks gonna white. Like, that's what they do. They don't know no better. So what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do for yourself? Right? Like, take that ownership. And there's power in it. It's freeing to know that, like, okay, there is something I can do. I don't have to sit here and take this. I can make a better decision for myself. So it may take a little time, but you just need to plan it out. That's all. Don't make life harder than what it already is. All right, that's my rant for today. This is not going to be a real episode. This is just an update. Episode 8 will come out next Sunday. God willing. Y'all pray for me. I had a lot to figure out. I'm struggling. I'm struggling. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. This is a struggle to do this podcast and work and be great at both. And I've never been that great at time management. Like, it's something I have to consciously work at all the time. It's hard for me. I'm not one of those people. And I'm okay with that. I know what my strengths are. And so I need to just find ways to operate in my strengths and then get help on my opportunity areas. So listen, you just have to manage. Just manage yourself, manage your life. That's it. So until next week, as always, I take coaching calls to help pay for the podcast. So if you have a situation that you need to talk through with work, I'm happy to help. Calls are $40. You can schedule calls at trillinba.com/coaching. Again, that's trillinba.com/coaching. The other thing you can do is email me at ask@trillinba.com if it's a quick question, something I can simply, shoot back and answer. I will. Yeah, guys. Happy Black History Month. It's almost over that fast, and we'll be in March. And next thing you know, it'll be Christmas. Ain't that a bitch? Happy new decade to us. So listen, I'm going to get out of here. I got a plane to catch. I love y'all. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for listening. Thank you for telling your friends. Just, if you're feeling down, keep your head up, hang in there, lean into the positive. We're going to make it. And that was more of a pep talk for myself. Bye. Keep it trill, y'all. The Trill NBA Show is a Fair World Corp. LLC production. Executive produced by Felicia and Rose Inuha. Sound design and editing by Chris Mann with Podshaper. Theme music is Kick Push by Ryan Little. Keep it trill every day, y'all.